So if you're a little bit confused about the activity from the previous lecture, that's okay. We're going to be going into detail on these techniques throughout this course. And if you already know how to do the techniques we already did, that's okay as well, because we'll be going into a lot more detail, a lot more advanced techniques throughout this course. And also, just so you know, your project doesn't have to look exactly like mine or similar to mine. The idea is to learn these techniques, to learn these design principles in the context of editorial design throughout this course, so you can then create these projects, regardless of how similar they look to the example that I do. In this lesson, you'll learn about guides and the importance of guides, specifically when it comes to alignment. So if you see a ruler up at the top of your workspace, that's great. If you don't, just go to View and then go to Show Rulers, or you can press Control-R on the PC or Command-R on the Mac. And all you do is just hover over the ruler up here with the mouse, just click and drag, and then that will create either a page guide here or a guide across the entire spread. If we had 2 pages, this would go across both pages here. If we click and drag off the workspace, if we click and drag in the page area, it will only be on that specific page. So that's a horizontal guide there. And I'm going to click and drag another one down here. And if I hold Alt on the PC or Option on the Mac, it toggles to a vertical guide. And if I release Alt or Option, it will go back to the default there. And the same thing over here. I can click and drag from the ruler there on the left, and then if I press Alt or Option, it will toggle. So that's just a shortcut. So we can create horizontal and vertical guides for better alignment in our designs. So we want photos and text at the bottom and the top of articles and columns to be aligned because it looks more orderly and looks better aesthetically. Alignment is a primary design principle. Now, if you want the guide to be right along one of these increments, when we're clicking and dragging, just hold Shift and it will toggle and just skip to the next increment there, as you can see. If you don't want to use inches, you want to use picas or points or millimeters, we can go to Edit, Preferences, and then Units and Increments, and again on the Mac, click on Adobe InDesign, and then go to Preferences, and then Units and Increments as well. And then up here at the top, ruler units, we can change that from inches to points, picas. For example, we want a lot of elements to be at least 1 pica apart in editorial design. Not everything, because sometimes captions will go with a photo that are closer than that, but generally picas, for example, the gutter, the space between columns, we want at least 1 pica wide. Millimeters, we can set it to any of those. All right, so I'm going to press cancel. You can also press Control K on the PC or Command K on the Mac, and that will bring up the preferences dialog as well. That's just a shortcut. Now we can also take guides from one page and paste them onto another. So if I click this one, and then I hold Shift and click this one, I have these 2 selected, and then I could just go to Edit Copy or Control or Command C, and then Edit Paste or Control or Command V on another page or spread, and it would paste those onto that other page or spread. What if we want a guide in a specific part of the page? Well, you can see this is at 8.075 inches. If we want it specifically at 8 inches, we could just highlight that, press 8, and then enter, and it would move it. So we could move that to 9, 10, whatever, if we want it on a specific point on the page. Now, once we have the guides up, let's just say we had some here for a photo layout, and we could click and drag photos so that they align to those guides. For example, I'll just move this one here for this example. I get kind of close to that guide and it snaps to it. If yours is not doing that, just go to View and then Grids and Guides, and then make sure Snap to Guides is checked. I also do suggest having Smart Guides checked, because that's really helpful with alignment when we click and drag some photos next to each other. We'll see throughout this course. It really helps with alignment and consistent proximity or spacing between elements. So I'm going to move this back up here. Now, if we want to delete guides, if we don't need to use them, we can click them and press backspace or delete on the keyboard, or you can go to View and then Grids and Guides and delete all guides on spread, and then it deletes those. So hopefully you've learned a lot about guides in this lesson. It will be helpful throughout this course. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next lesson.